1971, Dunedin Collective for Women started, Yoka joined. Consciousness raising. 1973, Hunt's had a stroke and dies. Yoka is distraught. The family sends money for a holiday for the family to visit relatives in Wellington and Hamilton. To earn money, Yoka became a part-time cleaner working night shifts at Yoka Psychogeriatric Hospital. She would leave, he could look after John and I and sleep while we went to school. She got dobbed in by a Conservative member of the Warrington community and had to go on the widow's benefit. The Save Manapuri campaign and the Save Arawana campaign started. Omi moved from Holland to Wellington and then to Warrington. 1974 onwards, us kids attended Oak Park High School. Yoka attends as an adult student in 1978. The whole family goes home together on the school bus and takes turns making dinner. Yoka took us all to cross-dressing hairdressers upstairs in Hayrights, now farmers. 1975, Yoka was one of the founding members of the Women's Electoral Lobby in Wellington. The Royal Commission on Contraception, Sterilisation and Abortion was set up in 1975, and Yoka was one of many feminists who lobbied for women's reproductive rights. And helped get the Contraception, Sterilisation and Abortion Act passed in 1977. The background to our lives was listening to Question Time in Parliament on the radio. 1976, Yoka was a founding member of the Dunedin Women's Refuge. Women from the refuge stayed with our family before the refuge was properly set up. 1977, Yoka and Reiko and Fika went to the United Women's Convention in Christchurch. 1979, United Women's Convention at the University of Waikato. Yoka came out as a lesbian. Lesbian Mothers Defence Fund was set up this year to lobby against the Family Needs Fathers proposal that the upcoming Guardianship Amendment Bill include a clause preventing children from being brought up in homosexual households. 1980, she worked at Daybreak Bookshop and networked with many influential women and Paul. In 1980 as well, she started a relationship with Jill Dunwoody, a much admired senior school teacher at Tahuna Normal Intermediate. She sold the Warrington family home and moved around new flats and houses in High Street, Melbourne Street, Melbourne Road, Waikouaiti and Sydney, before eventually moving in with Jill at Candrew Bay. Hanging out with friends and travelling to visit relatives in the UK, Holland and California. 1984. Omi dies after a struggle with dementia. 1985, she meets Polly, the future mother of her future grandchildren. 1986, the Homosexual Law Reform Act lobbied for and passed. She spray painted on the walls of the Catholic Tablet newspaper office and got caught by the police when she photographed her handiwork the next day. But I managed to talk away, which was pretty impressive because she still had paint on her feet and her shoes. Late 1980s, became a member of the L Club and regularly attended their monthly dinners until the beginning of this year. Not this year, last year. 1990, Yoka joined the Glenavon Methodist Church in support of the first openly gay minister, David Bromwell, and was still taking the church by her congregation until last year. She said she loved the community and the morning teas. She received the New Zealand 1990 Commemorative Medal for services to the community. In 1996, Yoka and Jill became much adored and devoted Omar and Nam to Tan, and then Mira in 1999 and Elsa in 2001. And their cousins, Barney, Flora, Finn, Romy, Kier, Dani and Jessamy, they were all keen participants in many family events at Omini where Eric and Polly settled, and at Placebo School and University and sporting events. 2003, started attending Calisthenics Steady As You Go class at the Octagon, age concern on Wednesday mornings, always followed by a mocker at the Thistle Cafe. 2008, Yoka's 80th birthday party at Warrington Hall. In that September, her beloved Jill dies. 2009, she moved into Selwyn Street. This tiny townhouse became the town base for the family, where Fika could visit every day after work and the weekly family dinners start. These dinners continue to this day. 2015, Yoka gets a roller tour. 2019, she moved into the Dalkeith wing at Ross Home in August. She She loved the views from the window, the fish and chips on Fridays, actually the tartare sauce, that went with it, a huge number of visitors and outings she had. She even had to have a whiteboard to avoid the overlapping visits. Family meals, watching the birds, the bird games and phone calls. Marches and protests against climate change. Mochachinos. 2021, her final protest in support of our nursing whānau. We pushed her along in a wheelchair and she held up a sign that said, "We stand up for nurses." Her 93rd birthday, a huge gathering of friends and relatives and a rainbow cake. We all arrive at different places on Mum's timeline, but here it stops. And of course she carries on in our hearts and will be with us forever.
Amazing seeing the whole of her life spread out there. Now we've got a couple of family videos. So the first is from cousin Petra in Holland, representing her family, Yoka's family in Holland, Europe. And so Petra's mum was Audrey, Yoka's sister. And the second video is from Brum, our uncle Brum, who was Yoka's brother and his wife Sandy.
Dear family in New Zealand, dear family members of Yoka, family and friends, Fieke asked us to give a contribution to the memorial for Yoka. And for me and my brothers Karel and Harold is this little contribution. The world is a stranger and emptier place without all the Dijkstra sisters in it. Mama and Yoka died in 1 week. 2 days, Yoka died 2 days before Mum. And it's been a rough year. It was rough to lose Mum. It was rough to lose Yoka in the same week. And can only imagine how you all felt. But we are left with many lovely memories of Yoka. Renee and I visited Yoka almost, I think, 23 years ago, when she was still with Jill, when Jill was still alive. We had a lovely time with the family and with Yoka. She took us everywhere in her car. We nearly died 3 times because she's such a daredevil driver. But yeah, we have fond memories of this. Also, during the years, the last 20 years, I was in regular touch with Yoka, calling her. And also the last, year, I called her regularly also when she was in the home. And she always had sweet words to say to me, and she always said, "I hope your mama understands how well you take care of her," which was very helpful for me. So, yeah. As I said, the world is a stranger place without them, and it also made us think about our own mortality. We're next. But that's all the more reason to celebrate life and to think with fondness of the ones we lost. Dear family, I hope you have a really good day. The memorial for Yoka, and we'll be with you in spirit. A big hug from abroad, Petra. And also for Harold and Karl.
Nou, ik herinner me nog, I remember the time when I was only about 14 or 15, and I was a morose young man, but Yoka was at the time in Leiden and working at a bookstore, and every time that I had a chance, I would escape from The Hague to Leiden, and Yoka would welcome me and she would take me to this wonderful Indonesian restaurant where we had a nasi goreng or something like that, and that would really help me get through a day, and then I would take my bike and go back to The Hague, and I would keep wanting to go back to visit Yoka again, because she was the one person who knew that I was a young man really needing some help, and she helped me. That's basically, what I remember of Yoka. Yoka was always very careful to make sure that there was a clear sense of interaction between her and the people around her. She was one of the few people I know who was interested in other people. And that meant a lot to me when I was a young man. All right.
And interested in books all through her life and in jazz. So you shared with her, I remember you sent her lots of records and CDs, and she was very excited to keep up with blues and jazz.
Especially blues.
Especially blues.
Especially blues. The blues singers, the women blues singers, especially Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, those were the important figures in her life.
And I remember when she came over with Jill, and the two of them went down to Tijuana to get themselves dressed in black leather. And the other thing I remember about that visit is that it was really difficult to take, because everything she looked at, either she said, oh, it's just like in New Zealand, or it's better in New Zealand. I mean, I at a certain point wanted to ask her, well, why have you bothered coming? But she did come to Julian, and we had a lot of fun. She was at this house as it was literally being built. The sisters, sat on literally wooden boxes. The walls were not up yet, and we had put them up at the local hotel because it was still not finished.
And it was cold.
And it was very cold. But they were here for the 4th of July, honey. So it wasn't that bad. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And they sat on boxes, and we brought in food, and we had a lot of fun with them. Yeah. Yoka was a lot of fun. And Yoka she is like her brother, has absolutely no sense of guilt, which for me was very, very refreshing. And in Brahm, it's the same, no sense of guilt. And to the end of her life, as the family in New Zealand knows better than I, when we visited, every time we went out for coffee, it had to be a mocha with whipped cream. As she grew fatter and fatter and fatter, more and more whipped cream. Yoka's a person who never worried about food and health. And to her credit, she lived a long life, and she lived an enjoyable life.
Exactly.
So we miss her a lot.